So much of trading is this quiet internal struggle. It's something that never shows up on a profit and loss statement. It's that silent battle that happens in the moments right before you click the mouse. Let's talk about that.
Does this sound familiar to you? You're there, looking at the screen, and you know exactly what you're supposed to do. And yet, you feel completely stuck, just repeating the same cycle over and over again.
You've put in the hours. You've built a trading plan. You studied the charts. You know the rule for this exact setup. It is crystal clear.
And it's not like you're going in blind. You are fully 100% aware of the risk. You know exactly what can happen if you break your own rule. And yet, in that critical moment, something else just takes the wheel. And you do the very thing you promised yourself, maybe even just 5 minutes ago, that you wouldn't do.
And the most frustrating part of all this, it isn't a one-time slip-up. It's a pattern. The same mistakes just seem to play out on a loop again and again, and it leaves you wondering, why can't I change?
So let's really get to the heart of it. We often tell ourselves the problem is a lack of willpower. I just need more discipline. But the real reason, it's actually deeper than that. Our behavior in those moments isn't really driven by our intentions. It's driven by automatic psychological habits that we've built over time.
This right here is such a key insight. When you're under pressure, your brain just defaults to its programming. It doesn't run a whole logical analysis to figure out the correct action. No, it just picks the shortcut. It falls back on whatever is the most familiar, most practiced emotional and behavioral path.
So, how do these pathways get so strong? Well, they're formed by powerful, repeated emotions. Feelings like fear of missing out, or greed after a win, or just simple impatience, even our own ego. These feelings are what carve the grooves that make our reactions so automatic.
Okay, so let's take a look at how this habit loop is actually constructed in our day-to-day trading. See, it always starts with an emotional trigger.
I want you to picture this. You've just taken a loss. It stings. It might even feel a little personal. You're looking at your account and the number is smaller than it was before.
And right there, in that moment, that's the trigger. It's this intense, almost physical need to make the money back, to erase the mistake, to just get back to even, as fast as humanly possible.
In this emotional state, your logical brain just kind of goes offline. It's no longer in charge. Your brain literally shifts from thinking to reacting. It's now running purely on instinct and habit. And what's the most familiar, most practiced reaction to that awful feeling of being down? Well, for many of us, it's revenge trading. We jump right back into the market without a real plan, maybe take on bigger risks, all just to try and force a win.
But here's the thing, it's not just the negative emotions. Let's flip the coin. Imagine you've just had a fantastic win. You're feeling confident, maybe even a little euphoric, like you can't lose.
So what's the trigger here? Well, your confidence surges, and all of a sudden, those rules you so carefully wrote down, they feel a little restrictive, maybe even unnecessary. You feel like you've got a special read on the market.
And that feeling of overconfidence, that becomes the spark for overtrading. Taking trades that don't really fit your plan, maybe upping your size, exposing yourself to all sorts of risk, all because a habit loop was triggered by a good feeling.
So if forcing more discipline just doesn't work, what's the alternative? Well, the answer is in a pretty fundamental shift in perspective. It's about moving from fighting our own minds to simply observing them. This is so important. We spend all this energy beating ourselves up over the bad trade we made. But the real mistake? That actually already happened. It was the emotional reaction, that trigger that set the whole thing in motion in the first place.
And this leads to a completely different way of thinking about it. Most traders are obsessed with fixing the outcome, trying to undo a loss or force a win. But professionals understand the outcome is just a symptom. They focus on fixing the behavior that led to it. And this is where real progress finally starts. It's not about gritting your teeth and promising to be more disciplined this time. It's about calmly observing your own patterns, becoming aware of the feelings that come up right before you're about to break a rule.
This takes us to a new and frankly more effective path. It's not about going to war with your own psychology. It's really about starting a conversation with it.
This is such a powerful way to reframe everything. We always think of trading as us versus the market. But the real work, it's all internal. It's about understanding that quiet conversation happening between your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions.
And the real key to improving that conversation is to replace that harsh self-judgment with calm awareness.
When you can see a habit starting to form without criticizing yourself for it, you finally gain the power to choose a different response. And that is the true foundation of consistency.
So let's just end with this thought. Instead of asking yourself, why do I keep making the same mistakes, try asking a gentler question. What are your habits telling you? What triggers are they trying to reveal? The answer isn't in the charts. It's in that quiet conversation.